Welcome to Below the Line, where we talk about working in Hollywood from the crew perspective. My name is Skid. I'm a former assistant director and your host. Today's conversation is both the 101st episode of the podcast and the start of season 9. And we've assembled a panel worthy of the occasion. All of my guests are Primetime Emmy nominees. We discussed each of their nominated projects with standalone episodes during season 8. They've returned to talk about the ceremony itself, and I'm excited to go behind the scenes. First, Amy Duddleston, you were the principal film editor for Mare of Easttown, and 2 of your episodes were nominated for Outstanding Single-Camera Picture Editing for a limited or anthology series or movie. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you guys.
Next, Geoff O'Brien, you shared film editor credit for Framing Britney Spears, which was nominated for Outstanding Picture Editing for a nonfiction program. Welcome back.
Thanks. Good to be here.
And in our third and fourth chairs, Alexandra Fehrman and Rich Weingart, you were the post-production sound mixers nominated for The Boys in the category of Outstanding Sound Mixing for a comedy or drama series, 1 hour. Welcome.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Glad to see everybody today. Glad you could make it back to the show. The only spoiler warning we have is for people who DVR'd the Emmy ceremonies last weekend, but haven't gotten around to watching them yet. So that's probably a very small subset of our audience, but just in case. Primetime Emmy nominations were announced on July 13th and voting closed on August 30th. So what was it like to be a nominee?
Well, it was pretty exciting, but it was a lot of work. It was a very busy time. And luckily I wasn't working because it took up a lot of time.
So Amy, and the publicity campaign, did that come through the studio that after you were nominated, they brought you in, or was there sort of a personal push?
I had a personal push. I mean, I actually did hire a publicist for the nomination part because that was suggested to me by my agent and some friends who had also hired a publicist. And after I kind of just went on my own, but there was still some help from Marilyn, the publicist, and HBO helped out a little bit, sending things my way, but not like a tremendous, push. It was mostly me.
Geoff, what about your experience with Framing Britney Spears?
Yeah, well, I was working at the time. And so it was hard to sort of squeeze all that stuff in between. It was very exciting. I was not expecting it and did not do any campaigning for the nomination. But then once the nomination came about, I was definitely, a lot of phone calls came in very quickly. But ultimately, FX and their PR team sort of took over a lot of that for me. I wish they would have done more. But hindsight's 2020, I suppose. But it was still very fun and very busy. And it was a lot of, taking a lot of phone calls and meeting a lot of people. But yeah, of course, obviously, it's very exciting.
I admit that morning I did get up and start clicking and checking just to see, because I was honestly really hopeful. We worked so hard and I was really proud of the work. So I remember opening up the link and reading through the list, and in my mind seeing The Boys and having to read that list about 3 times before I really realized we were actually on that list, which was really thrilling. I've been nominated before, but it was 12 years ago was the last time. So it really felt like the first time again. And I was super excited because I was going to get to bring my youngest with me, who was 15 now. So it's exciting.
And I found out by a fellow mixer who was also on that list. He called me about 2.5 minutes after the list became public. So I was not up clicking. I got woken up by Mark Fishman, who is he was a post-production mixer on Lovecraft Country in our category.
Was Amazon the big push on getting you guys out there after the nomination, or?
Yes, Amazon was immediately jumped into action and created sort of a publicity campaign, got me on some panels, and I agree. It was a very busy time. It's my first nomination, and it's actually Rich's 5th, but first one for me. And it was a lot more work than I had anticipated, and which it was all fun work though, because I got to talk to people about what we're passionate about.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I have never talked about editing as much as I have during this period of time, and my career and everything. And so it was really fun. It reminded me of why I do what I do. And it was nice.
Now, leading up to the ceremonies themselves, so to clarify for listeners who have not been following this, there are a lot of Emmy nominations. There are a lot of categories to run through. And so the ones that they put under the umbrella of creative arts, there were 3 ceremonies held the weekend of September 11th and 12th, one on Saturday at 5 p.m. and 2 back-to-back on Sunday at 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. Those, and we'll talk about this a little bit, were edited into a single ceremony that was televised on September 18th and then followed by the live ceremony on the 19th. Talk to me a little bit about your experiences leading up to the ceremonies.
Well, this was my first nomination. And so I wasn't really quite sure what to expect or what was there prior to this year. But my category was being announced on Sunday afternoon. And I was just staying in the hotel right by the ceremony. So it was a lot of just hanging out in the hotel lobby, seeing people with tuxedos and dresses walk through, it was very low key. There wasn't a lot of, FX wasn't planning any sort of party or anything. There was not a lot of that. And I know that the editor peer group party was like a few weeks prior to that. And I live in New York. And so I was not able to do any of those sorts of things, unfortunately.
But these peer group parties, folks who do live in LA, did you have them for your categories?
Yeah, I went to the editors, the picture editors. I'm not sure. Are the sound editors a different peer group? I can't even, anyway, I think they combined us with cinematographers and somebody else, but yeah, it was really fun. And I got this like medal that says,
What?
Emmy nominee.
You get a medal?
Yeah, it's a medal.
Jeff, you might want to ask around.
Yeah.
You might ask for that.
I'm sure they got extras. I'm sure they got extras.
No, Kodai and I asked, because we were both nominated twice. We were like, hey, can we have 2? They're like, no. So, but yeah, the peer group party, that was really fun. It was nice to kind of just get celebrated in some ways. And I brought our apprentice editor as my +1. And
nice.
That was really nice. And it was nice to just see people and, get outdoors. It was outdoors and there was food and music. And
was it just a cocktail hour or was it like
it was like a cocktail party. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was nice. It was like, oh, I'm special. I got to wear this weird medal that I kept saying, I got it for gymnastics.
Alex and Rich, was there a separate party for sound that you guys were able to go to?
There was.
Yeah, there was.
And it was actually more celebratory feeling than the Emmys was, since we
exactly.
We had friends and drinks, and
I think that the nominee party felt a little closer to normal than the actual ceremony.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah,
thanks, guys.
The ceremony felt. Sorry.
Sorry,
The
Jeff.
medallions were definitely a new thing.
Yeah.
Well, let's turn our attention to the ceremonies themselves. So, Amy, you talked about bringing a +1 to the peer party.
Yeah.
Do you guys all get +1s for the Emmy ceremony, or were
I
there?
did. We did. I think people who had like teams, who are on teams, like if you had a team of like 4, I don't think you got to bring +1 or anything over that. So I think you were limited to like 4 people in your team. But I did. I brought my wife. And this was our first time at the Emmys. And so it was fun, but yeah, it was not very festive. I mean, I hate to say it, but it was just like,
The bottle of water on your table wasn't very
the
festive?
warm bottle of water on our table and with the glass to drink it out of, and don't take the centerpieces on your way out. Because we were on Saturday at 5 p.m.
Right.
ceremony.
So Amy and Rich and Alex, you guys were all there on Saturday at 5 p.m. So, of course, you can't steal the centerpieces because they're going to want to use them again on Sunday.
Right.
Jeff, you were Sunday at 1 p.m. Right. And so that's and
you couldn't steal them still.
I couldn't steal them. And we also couldn't linger. They were like, wrap it up and get out.
Yeah. Get out.
to clear the room for the folks coming in at 5 p.m. after you.
Yeah.
So it was, ours was like, it was fine, but it definitely felt like, okay, we're done. Get out, go.
Yeah.
You're being definitely herded out the doors.
Even ours was kind of like, we still got herded out. it wasn't.
It felt very much like I was part of a herd. The entire process, from arriving in the car to the ticket collecting, to the take the picture by the statue, to the sit down in your chair.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and like this is like we're below the line people. It's like HBO didn't even send us a car. Like we were so low on like we didn't even get a car.
Oh,
Like that is like the crap.
That is crap.
That
It's
is
crap.
You don't mind us saying.
No, it's like Amazon. It's like it's like Netflix. Everybody got a car. We did not get cars.
Yeah.
And we
got airplanes. We got
airplanes. Yeah. I think they would send an airplane, but a car, no. And I guess it's something I could have pushed for. Like it's not like a huge thing, but I'm just like, who do you even like complain to? So
Right.
I'm just like, okay, whatever. So that sucked. Like just like, self-driving, like trying to find the garage, which they tell you, oh, it's free. And it was not free. And so that is a receipt I am going to send to HBO. But yeah, so that was just like really unfestive. And it was, it was like 95 degrees outside and just like taking a picture in front and then going inside. It was like, okay, but here's your warm bottle of water. Taking some pictures inside. You could go visit people at other tables, and that was nice. But the ceremony started, and it was just like one after another.
I was surprised though and at the Primetime Emmys on the 19th, Seth Rogen made a similar comment to what I was thinking, which was like, they said this was going to be outside, and this was not outside. I was like, this is very much inside. It's in a tent on top of a parking garage.
Yeah, I was curious about that too, because in that case, then I feel like it would have been similarly safe inside.
To just be in the theater.
The Microsoft Theater. Like, what's the big deal?
Confusing.
With fewer people.
We were sitting banquet style, and we were at a table with people we didn't know. So I'm still unsure about.
We cheered for their win, though.
Which was amazing, and it was great to get to know them. But I'm just not sure the difference
Who are you sitting
of
with?
that and sitting with them in the theater.
We were sitting with the editorial crew of
Black Lady Sketch Show.
Oh, awesome. Those women are awesome. So I love those guys. Yeah.
Yes, we were very excited for them.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
They told us that they had an entirely woman post team on that show, which is so rare and so cool.
Yeah. No, it was amazing. Their win was really great, and their speech was beautiful.
They were fans of the boys, so that was
they
kind of
were
cool too.
That works.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, upon arrival, I guess I got really lucky. I came with my boyfriend, and when we were just arriving, and the woman who took our little ticket, our pass into the show, said, "Are you hungry?" I don't know how she knew. And I was like, "Yes, I'm starving." And she said, "Well, there's no food in there. So if you want any food, you should go to JW Marriott and get something and come back. Because once you give me this ticket, you're not going to be allowed back in." So that was really helpful.
I didn't get that instruction, unfortunately.
No, nor did I.
Yeah.
Or the little
ticket.
Good.
But yeah, I actually felt that one of the differences I noticed this time also was the very intense scrutiny at that place. There were bomb sniffing dogs and mirrors and very high security. So it was unique in that sense as well. We were all tested, vaccinated, and sniffed by dogs.
Right. Show the QR code, do all the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a large team. Britney Spears, Britney Spears was nominated twice, so we had 2 sets of 4 tickets, I guess. And the producing team was larger than 4 people, so Pierre and I we had 2 extra tickets, and so we gave them to the other team. So we all went as sort of a collective group, and we mostly got everybody, outside of like some of the executives, but most of the people that made it were able to go, which is great.
And were you seated by show or by category? In other words, how did they spread you guys around that space? Is there any rhyme or reason to it?
Not that I could tell.
No,
like we were sitting with the production designers from Perry Mason, and it was just like my people from my show, like the Mare costume designer and the Mare production designer, like we were near them, and the makeup people. So like they were all on our side.
That's so weird. I just assumed because we were 8 people at 8 chairs, and our show was at the table. So I just assumed everybody else was like that.
shout out to Thomas Hayek, who's our production mixer. He's in Canada, and so unable to make it to the show, which allowed each of us to do a +1 because there were 4 total allowed.
Nice.
So
That's nice.
You guys talked about the water bottles on the table, and I noticed that when watching the televised version. So that was it. There wasn't a snacks outside, drink area. They brought you guys
not
in.
even a program. Not even a program.
No programs.
nothing.
There was a
Digital.
QR code, which made me really excited because I thought the QR code would lead to being able to buy a drink, maybe.
But
it
like at
didn't.
restaurants these days, like where you can
Yeah.
pull the menu up on your phone.
Right. No. Yeah. It was a QR code and a bottle of water, and that
Yeah.
was it.
So
But
what
they
did
got
the
food
QR
at the Sunday ceremony. They got like boxes of food. Like
And
halfway
wine.
through. And wine. One
Yeah.
bottle of wine, but boxes of food. Yeah.
At the live ceremony, they ramped it up a little bit,
yeah.
but not for your weekend.
They got a red carpet. They got
I think they could take some photos of it. I didn't even get a single photo of just myself there
Hmm.
because
neither.
it was so quick. I was like, whoever's around me, let's do this.
yeah. It was kind of the same. Yeah.
I don't mean to complain because I'm
No,
glad that
I
they found
mean,
a way to do it, but it was
me
really
too.
funny.
Me
It was
too,
very
because
funny.
I agree. I'm really happy that I was able to go, because I mean, seriously, like the people the year before, they got nothing. Like
Yeah.
absolutely. Rich, were you nominated the year before?
So grateful to be able to attend a ceremony and to bring a +1. I got to bring my youngest daughter, Penelope, and
Oh, nice.
we had it. So it was a real ceremony in that sense. And I felt very lucky to be there and to hear a lot of very impressive acceptance speeches. I felt like people had a lot of really nice things to say. There was a lot of grateful hearts and a lot of uplifting things being said about recognizing a wide variety of people and a wide variety of shows. I was proud to bring my daughter and let her see us celebrate some of our finer moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And
was fun.
neither of us were nominated last year, but our sound supervisor that we work with on The Boys was nominated for The Boys last year. So we're hoping that maybe there's a chance that the whole crew can be nominated and go to a more regular ceremony one day.
Now, I haven't followed the Emmys that closely in past years. COVID aside, if you go further back, did they do a similar multi-ceremony approach to the creative arts side of the Emmys?
It has grown, I think, in categories enough to need to separate. I think it's possible that this year it was in 3 different categories because of COVID restrictions. The last time I was nominated was 12 years ago. And so it used to be one creative ceremony the night before the primetime ceremony.
Yeah. They broke it into 2 a couple years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this year, because of COVID, I think it was 3, just because it's the small, and they put it in the smaller place.
And so on the day, knowing in advance that they had announced they were going to edit a single ceremony, did it feel like you were being directed for the editing, or did it feel like you had your event and the editing was sort of a secondary thought of the folks that were putting it on?
Yeah, no, it just felt like a show. I mean, as I was watching it, it felt like a ceremony, right? That, we had RuPaul was sort of our master of ceremonies, or at least in the beginning. And it looked just like a miniature version of what would be the Primetime Emmys. So I was actually really curious to know how they were going to put it together, because I didn't know if like RuPaul was doing the same routine 3 times, or if there was another person that was doing the other ones. But yeah, no, it was pretty sort of like next, in and out in under 2 hours sort of thing. And we were sitting like right by there was like a stage in the middle, and we were sitting right in the middle. So we always had the camera guys sort of following in, following out. It seemed, at least from our end, to be pretty well run as an event, but it didn't feel like you were being a television show per se.
It also did feel like they were allowing the winners a fair shot at getting out what they wanted to say. It didn't feel like too many people were truncated. It didn't feel like that many people got played off. I felt like they were allowed to say what they came up to say.
No,
I don't think anybody got played off on my ceremony.
There were a couple people
Just a couple
did, but not, Later, it got edited out though.
Or just omitted completely. Yeah.
We got to hear.
Or
it.
yeah.
The televised show was, if I remember correctly, an hour and a half long, 2 hours long. I'm trying to remember how long they actually committed to it. Not long enough to cover everything, but it moved pretty quick. And so he wasn't quite sure where they dropped stuff out. To your point, Geoff, the opening and the closing, I think, were from your event, the Sunday 1 p.m., where RuPaul did open it.
Yeah.
And Kamau Bell closed it and presented the last award for Outstanding Structured Reality Program. But so I was curious, Amy, Alex, Rich, how did things start up on the Saturday show, which all three of you attended?
Susie from Mrs. Maisel, Alex Borstein, sorry. Anyway, she was the one who started our show. And then it just kind of took off from there. And the first category was best title sequence. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
That's a good memory.
Yeah, you have a much better recollection than I do. You obviously were not as nervous as I was.
I was just like,
They did give us a little disclaimer that ours was the first ceremony and, to buckle up.
Yeah, they did. That's true. That's right. They were just
Yeah.
like, you are, there's going to be mistakes.
But there didn't seem to be any, really.
It felt fairly smooth, and I
Yeah.
felt like it played like a typical creative Emmys might.
Yeah. There were a lot of cutaways to my wife. There were like 3.
Oh, yeah?
My editing partner on the. It's like, okay, cool.
The televised version is edited as a single ceremony, but one, it is a mix up. They jump between days. Like, it's not like all of one day goes and then they go to the next. It really is just sort of a mashup. And as we've alluded to, not every award announcement makes the final cut. The winners were already known by the time it was televised, because it wasn't like they kept a lid on it. They were announced as it happened. But of all of you, Amy, I saw your award announced, but the other ceremonies or the other announcements weren't there at all. Like, the whole category just sort of disappeared.
Which was really strange. I was kind of like text watching with the crew from Hacks, and they were like, wait, they didn't even show our category. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Was it just like they only showed a certain number of editing ones and they're like, we don't need the rest? And,
Yeah.
They edited them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think limited series is kind of like the big category now. And I think that's why they included ours. I mean, it was the last category of the Primetime Emmys on Sunday.
Yeah.
Because it's superseded the drama category now as the category, which is cool. But I just felt bad for my friends' moms who were watching.
My mom was watching the Primetime Emmys looking for me. And I was like, I'm at home, Mom. I'm at home. She's like, I don't see you. I'm like, it's because I'm at my house. Well, yeah. Well, I did not watch, the cut down version of ours, but now I'm glad I didn't, since my category was cut out completely.
Alex, I did see you in a cutaway.
You did?
Paris Jackson announced Pose as the winner for contemporary hairstyling. And I mean, I know that was announced on your day, and presumably they would at least use cutaways from the same day, but that kind of is in the air as well. Like, once you get to editing this thing like this, I mean, they could have drawn it from anywhere or anytime.
Right.
But I did notice you in the crowd
Well,
for
did
just
I
a
look
moment.
excited? Because I was excited about them winning. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, the cutaways, I mean, they were kind of random. I mean,
Yeah.
They cut to me, of course, when like Michelle Tesoro won. I was like, oh, great, thanks. I mean, she was looking at me, and it was really sweet, but because she is a dear friend of mine. And so it was just really funny. But the cutaways were random. And I mean, we were sitting right in front of the stage. So I'm like, the camera was in front of us and like in my face at one point. That was like, okay, I'm on a TV show, clapping, like, just pretend. But
did it have the feel of a live show or like a clip show? Did
felt
it feel
like
accelerated more than real time?
Yeah, it was not like the Primetime Emmys. Like,
Yeah.
it was definitely cut together.
Speeches cut, and then on and off stage. Like they would announce it and people were there very quickly. That sort of move. And there's a couple of continuity errors. I mean, just because I was watching it, where you can see people leaving after commercial break, but it's clear that that was like 4 or 5 categories earlier. Like you can match up their clothes and such. And I noticed it for the first time around the in memoriam segment, which incidentally, it's not clear to me what day that was on. Did any of you have them do an in memoriam segment for your Geoff? That was at yours?
Mm-hmm.
We had one too.
Oh,
We kind of cut them together.
there were 2 in the ceremony. Do you think that they were on? Did each of you have one, or did anybody have 2 segments dedicated to in memoriam?
It was just one segment.
Yeah, it's just one in ours. Yeah.
Because there's 2 in the televised version at different times in the ceremony. We don't have anybody from the Sunday at 5 p.m. So we don't know what they ended up with, or if they were allowed to take the
centerpieces?
The centerpieces
with them.
I
at
really
that
want to
point.
know if they took the centerpieces Sunday at 5. I got to find somebody who was there.
We'll ask around on that. What other segments really might have stood out from you being there that maybe we didn't get to see in the televised version, other than longer speeches, Rich, as you noted, and getting the full remarks? Were there other bits that didn't make the final cut?
Yeah, well, the whole thing with like Paul Scheer and you know, what's her name with the sound editing. I mean, it was like at our ceremony, it was like a kind of hokey bit about, we're like sound editors and
trying to block that out a little bit.
that got
set up a little.
way down. It was like, thank you.
Yeah. I'm assuming, because it took so long. In my ceremony, we had the Sklar brothers, the comedian.
The Sklar
twins.
brothers, yeah.
I don't know if they were in the telecast or not, but like
they were.
Oh, because their bit went on forever, seemingly forever, which I guess was part of the joke, because they were supposed to be, the Property Brothers were also there presenting, and I think maybe nominated as well. And so there's a whole bit back and forth of them that felt like 20 minutes of just them doing their thing.
Oh, they did. They left a lot of that in.
Oh, really?
Televised. Yeah.
Everyone's just like, what is going on? You know, and it was all to get to the animated category, because it was about how animated they were. And I was like,
so bizarre. I was like, after all that, this is what you're presenting.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it was definitely a Shaggy Dog story, and they did run it in full, and probably why they didn't show your category, Geoff.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for the bit.
Right?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's all for comedy.
There was also a bit with the kiss cam that I was kind of surprised made the final cut, because that seemed awkward even on the day. What they managed to save on that. That was on your Saturday ceremony.
That part?
Yeah, they did.
Left that in, huh?
Oh.
Yeah, the kiss cam bit was there as well. They did. Someone announced they did a kiss cam like at the ballpark, and then was like, "Wait, you're not supposed to actually kiss." Like it was really an awkward exchange with the folks who even got caught up in it.
It was so dumb. So dumb.
Huh.
Dumb.
Did they have a buffet cam too? Because bad ideas during COVID.
Now, in generally how it flowed, I did notice that the announcers were on one end of the tent, and then the center area was where they did the awards. The Emmy you actually pick up, is that the one that has your name on it, or?
Well, it doesn't have your name on it. You glue that on later.
But I believe you do get to keep that one.
Yeah, you did get to keep it. And there were big boxes outside the tent for you to put them in. Big carrying cases. That was
like little coffins.
Yeah, they were like Emmy coffins.
Yeah, there was a whole crew that would come up and clean the microphone and the podium, put a fresh Emmy up while they were showing clips of the nominees. So when the room would darken, whole crew would come up like it was like NASCAR. You know, they would get it all set up for the next round.
It was pretty good.
Does the edited show feel like a cohesive ceremony? It's not obvious that it's multiple events.
No, it felt pretty cohesive. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, you know, editing.
I felt like I was there for multiple days.
Yeah. Yeah, if you had no idea, you just didn't know. It was like, well, the people sitting right there are different. You know, it's like that's I was looking for that. Like, who is sitting at my table?
I did that on the Primetime Emmys. I was looking to see who was sitting at my table at the Primetime Emmys. And it was Michaela Cole, so I was happy.
Michaela Cole. That was my table too.
That was my table. We were at the same table.
Like everyone's like, I think Michaela Cole is sitting in your chair, Amy. I was like, good.
Oh, that's so funny. We were at the same table then.
Now, with the actual ceremony, they had set up a London-based space in parallel, but I don't think there were any sort of accommodations for the creative arts. There was some video acceptance, but it was all just people at home.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
That groovy bar that they set up for Crown people. That was
At like 3 a.m. or whatever it was.
Yeah.
they were having a good time. But yeah, everybody else was on Zoom. A lot of people from Berlin, I guess, who were on the Queen's Gambit.
Mm.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
I only remember Maya Rudolph zoomed in, but she was the only one that I could remember from ours.
And Brad North, for some reason, wasn't at the ceremony, but his acceptance, which they put on the televised thing because it was so funny with his kid walking in eating an otter pop.
Oh, that's really funny.
That was pretty funny. And his wife filming the entire thing in the background. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, that was
That he handled the
Yes.
confusion beforehand with a lot of.
he was
lot of fun.
awesome.
It was smooth.
I
And it
mean,
was
that,
funny.
that's why it got included. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
yes, it was
Yeah.
great.
But Brad gets nominated every year. It's like, I'm
Mm.
sure he was just like, yeah, well, I'll just stay home.
Yeah.
School age kids. It's like,
Other than the noticing, as you said, that they had food at the Primetime Emmys and wine at the table, other things that came up watching the live ceremony that struck you as different or notable compared to what you guys went through?
The room looked a little bigger on the
Yeah.
on the TV.
Yeah. The camera added a little weight to it, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like their
It seemed like it was.
screens were like all wrap around the,
Yeah.
they did have like wraparound screens.
I
around
think it was the
tent.
same amount of tables, but it seemed to be more full.
Yeah, I think
Primetime
they had to add some tables. I think
It
they
seemed
did.
that way.
Yeah, I did feel like we had like a lot of space in person, and that I don't think that was so represented on the televised version.
Yeah, on
but
Sunday night.
yeah, but it did feel very much like the same ceremony when
Mhm.
we were watching it. It felt like it was the same thing that we had just been at.
Hmm.
Did. It was a little more showy, but it was still.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember now. I think I remember some of the people walking up to the main stage for their acceptance
Yes.
speech rather than
Yeah.
the center stage.
Yeah.
But that
And
might
like
be-
and presenting, like they stood on the stage where, they didn't hand anybody an Emmy still, but they were on the same stage.
Right.
Um,
And a lot more
I-
interaction than
Yeah.
I think was obvious at your event.
Yeah, because it did prove awkward sometimes, and I could think it even happened on the Primetime Emmys where like the people you're talking about are like behind you and behind the camera.
Right.
No, and they
Uh,
had commercial breaks, obviously where they all stood up.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a live event for them. So like ours was just like
Sure.
the next thing.
Yeah.
And like, the other one was, they were getting up and chatting.
Yeah.
And so were you guys even allowed to go to the bathroom? Or I mean, did people must have gotten up and no, they brought you in, sat you down,
Yeah, I
like
think they,
background and just ran through it like you were on a set, basically.
I mean, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. There was at one point the table nearest to us had an entirely different group of people there, which surprised me because I don't think they were doing the seat replacement like they normally would, but I don't know how they traded or why.
They swapped out.
Yeah.
I don't think there were seat fillers.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it was interesting too, in the primetime ceremony, they took their Emmy and they sat back down at their table. And then at ours, they went through like the gauntlet of like,
Mm.
Mhm.
the thank you cam and the press, tent and everything. And then at the
That's interesting.
primetime Emmys, they didn't do that. They
Yeah.
sat back down and had their Emmys. I guess they
Huh.
didn't want to do seat fillers and they didn't want to, whatever. But yeah, that was kind of interesting.
Other things that happened on the day or other memories of that weekend to share with our audience?
Well, it was nice afterwards to go to the patio outside the Marriott there and have a drink with
Yeah.
the people that won, so that was nice. Yeah, we had a drink with like the crew from RuPaul and the Social Dilemma who won, and so that was nice. That felt more like a party.
Yeah.
rather than the ceremony itself. And it was amazing because it was all like in the plaza, and you had all these Emmys like sort of stacked up on the balcony sort of railing, and all like the passerbys were just like coming by and like wanting to take pictures with the production designer from RuPaul. Like they don't know who that person is, but
But that person had an Emmy.
yeah, exactly. So it was fun. It was fun to watch that, and that was a good afternoon. Yeah, because I was done by like 2 or whatever, so we had all day to just sort of hang out.
That's cool. Because we were done at like 8:00, and we all needed dinner. And
Yeah.
my friends from Hacks actually got reservations at the Hotel Figueroa, and we sat outside the pool, and that was really,
That's
really
lovely.
fun. Yeah, it's a great place. So we did that, and but I was so stressed out like that whole day of just like
Yeah.
the stress, the letdown, the not eating all day, just getting there,
Well, actually,
the whole thing.
One of the highlights of our evening, I think, with me and Penny was to go through an In-N-Out drive-through.
Yeah.
With
Awesome.
the town car.
That's great.
Yeah.
It was interesting for me because I'd been to the Emmys before, but not ever as a nominee. So in my, even leading up to getting there, I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. And then, it dawned on me that I was, we were nominated, and that was terrifying to come to that conclusion that I might end up having to make a speech here.
Yeah.
And then having that and not being able to cut that with any sort of alcoholic beverage was just a little painful.
It was stressful.
Yeah.
And not knowing,
was.
because the program was just like, you had no idea what order. Like my friend Keith, who is the production designer of Mare, it's the first thing in the program is like production design. It was his, and he's just like, and it came later, and he was just like, he couldn't even like enjoy like the beginning of the show.
Yeah,
I
Like,
was surprised. Yeah. And they saved us we were like third to last.
We got to
something like
simmer
that.
for
Yeah.
the whole show practically.
Oh, that's so good. That's so nice.
I left a sweat handprint on my boyfriend's pant.
Yeah.
I was just like on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, it was odd too. Now that I'm remembering too. Yeah, mine was one of the first ones. It was like maybe the 3rd or 4th category, but it was not amongst other editing categories. It was like in between, like an animation and something else, and it was like standalone. And then all the other editing stuff was like later. And I was like, well, that was weird. Yeah.
It felt like the presentations were somewhat randomized.
Yeah,
I really felt like I could not put any logic to it.
it was really weird. Coach Beard from Ted Lasso
Yeah.
did our category, did a lot of the editing categories, but and that was just like when that moment it was just it is a strange moment of just like waiting to hear your name or not be called. I was just like, wow, because I've never been up for an award, so it was just crazy.
I was
That whole
overjoyed when Mandalorian got announced there who won in our category, because it was the release of all of the anticipation and also being happy because we were nominated among a lot of great sounding shows, and of course Mandalorian being one of them. So happy for them winning, and that it's that it's all finished. So
It's done.
Yeah.
Just relax, drink that warm water.
Yeah, really
drink the rest
enjoy
of
that
that
water.
That water just was so good.
Yeah, we were split. Yeah, because my category was up first, but everyone else who was on the Britney team was one of the last ones. So me and Pierre got to relax, and they were still all on edge the whole time. And then they lost.
Well, there's a lot of losing to go around at these ceremonies.
Yeah, most people there lost. That's what I was.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, mostly.
Here's to the loser.
That's right.
Water for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're all winners to me, and really appreciate you guys coming back and sharing these kind of behind the scenes details. And hopefully you guys will get another crack at it with your future projects, and we'll compare notes then. Thanks, guys, everybody, for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Regular listeners, welcome back for season 9. And the first vote we hope is the next 100 episodes. And if you're new to the podcast, I hope you'll check out that previous 100. It's easy to peruse the entire catalog at the website belowtheline.oneword.biz. That's B-I-Z. All episodes of the podcast are also listed on IMDb, so you can cross-reference the film credits of my guests. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcast, and rate us if you like what you hear. If you've got questions or comments, you can send email to skid, S-K-I-D, at belowtheline.biz. If you're on Facebook, you can find photos and other behind-the-scenes materials at Podcast Below the Line. And finally, you can follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram. It's at Pod Below the Line. Thanks to Curtis Five for our music and John Wan for our logo. The logo is available on t-shirts, mugs, and stickers at redbubble.com. And for everyone who's still listening, I think we've got a great season planned. I hope you'll stick around. Tell your friends. We'll be back again next week.
Let's all work together on something and get nominated.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, let's do that.
And I'm not ashamed for slagging HBO for not getting us a car. So.
Yeah, they
should have got you a car.
For sure.
2 nominations, people.
Yeah.
Yes.
No car.
No, that's
I should have pushed
unacceptable.
it. Being below the line, I just don't push for things. It's
I
like,
talked to my
yeah,
friends who did the Q documentary for HBO too, and they didn't get any cars either.
No. Amazon still values their nominees, because it's. Still
I
special
did.
to
I
them.
did ask for it.
You did? Okay, well that's good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they were already like. I don't want to say that that's why, but I did bring
Yeah,
it
we
up.
hadn't heard anything
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
she asked. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good for you.
They were, very forthcoming with it. It was like immediate. Yes. What are your addresses? We're working that
Yeah.
out.